amateurs talk around the world by a satellite that is owned by the Amateur Radio Club. We are at what we call our repeater site down in Franklin, just south of Franklin, Pennsylvania. So let's take a look here now, and I'm going to introduce you to another one of our members to explain what the repeater is all about. Repeater building, and the person that knows a lot more about this than myself is one of our members of the Fort Venango Mike and Key Club, known as Jerry Holmes, and also known by his call letters as W3DTW. Jerry, would you explain what this repeater is all about?
Okay, fine, Tom. I just want to mention to you that this is one of the 3 different repeater facilities or sites that the Fort Venango Mike and Key Club has in operation, and we try to keep communication going throughout Venango County and Clarion County and so forth around the surrounding area. What the repeater does, it's going to allow Bruno, who's working down there with you at the school, to actually talk back into Bill Hill's house, and then from Bill's house you'll work up through the satellite. But the repeater allows something that's very small, like a handy talkie, that's very low power, to transmit at a much higher power and much further away. So this may look very complicated, but yet it's quite simple when you think about what all is involved here. And you can hear it running in the background right now because somebody's using it. But here's a little piece of computer equipment that does all the control for all of our repeater. And up in here we have a transmitter and a receiver. And what a repeater does, it allows this transmitter and receiver to operate both at the same time. This controller tells everything what to do, and then that comes up here, and this little power supply and this amplifier, it'll go up the antenna, and it's a much higher power. So you see, it allows a little HT like this to get a lot of coverage and a lot of higher power just by working through a repeater. So we have 3 of these around the area, and you're going to be using one of these actually in the connection between Bruno and Bill's house and then up to the satellite. So that's actually what we use a repeater for. You want to see some of the back of it? Bill, would you like to go back here and show the inside of this repeater as well? You know, from the front it looks real neat, but I want you to look at the back because, you know, isn't that a rat's nest? It's a mess, isn't it? Well, it has to be this way to work. If it was real neat and everything, it probably wouldn't work. But all these wires are connecting everything that's happening, and that's just the way every ham shack or every repeater and so forth, that's just the way it works. Here's a little computer. This is the controller that does everything. And then, as I mentioned, up here is transmitter and receiver, and up here is the amplifier. And down here is some cans we call cavities. And that just connects the transmitters and the receivers together and lets us use one antenna. But that's what a repeater is like. So that's how we use it.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. That was very well done. And now our next stop is going to be at our president's of our radio club, K3SHK, Bill Hill in Seneca. President of our radio club, Bill Hill, and he's known to us as K3SHK. Bill, explain to our audience now just exactly what you're doing at your residence here.
Thank you, Tom. Greetings from Seneca, Pennsylvania. My name is Bill Hill, as Tom said. My amateur call is K3SHK. Right here is the station that we'll be using as the link up for the satellite link between the 2 high schools. We call this our gateway station. The gateway is really where everything all ties together. Down at the Venango Christian High School in Oil City, Bruno will be using a small 2-meter radio and be in contact with the repeater facility down in Franklin, one of our Fort Venango Mike and Key Club repeaters. And I also, at the same time, will be in contact with that same repeater from this station right here. This is my station, by the way, out here in Seneca, Pennsylvania. Simultaneous to this, I will also be using this equipment to contact AO13, which is one of approximately 24 amateur satellites which are orbiting in outer space. From this point right here, then, I will link that repeater system and that satellite system together. Rich Ensign and the group up there in Dearborn, Michigan, will be in contact with that same satellite. So what we do here at this point is use the equipment to tie those two links together so that Bruno then going through the repeater, through this station, up to the satellite and back down to Dearborn, Michigan, and then the road reverses. But the gateway is basically a link together. This is where it all comes together.
Okay, Bill. Some of the equipment that you're actually using, is that on your table there?
Yeah, there's the equipment that you see here in front of you is some of the equipment that we'll be using. There'll be some more equipment added on to this. It's not all sitting here right now, but this is what we use to tie everything together.
Okay, well that's a pretty good description of what how this thing happens. Now you have some special antennas outside. So could we go outside and look and see how these antennas work, and you can give us a little explanation on that?
Okay, we'll go outside and look at the antennas. Now these rotor boxes, Tom, you might be able to take a close-up. These rotor boxes are what we'll be using to control those antennas. The antennas will have control both azimuth and elevation-wise, so we'll be able to lock onto the satellite no matter what its position in the sky is.
Well, thank you very much, Bill. Now let's go outside and take a look at those antennas. Of our president, Bill, and would you explain what this antenna system is all about?
Okay, the tower over here by the house contains a multitude of antennas. The very top antenna, way up at the top, is the one that we'll be using to pick up the repeater, which Bruno will be talking through. The other two antennas are used for terrestrial work. They're not going to be used during this particular event. But those bottom two cross antennas, let me get them moving here. Chuck, go ahead and start moving them. Those bottom two antennas down there, now they're starting to move, are adjustable both azimuth and elevation. You notice they go up in the air and around in a circle, and they'll be used to track the satellite that we'll be making our link with. Now they're up in the air, and you'll start bringing them back down again, I suppose. By the way, that's my son, KA3RWC, Chuck, who's down in the shack right now operating those antennas, just to give you an idea of how they move around there, and it gives you an idea how we track that satellite as it goes across the sky. Of course, we'll use a computer program to aim those antennas with.
Bill, how far up in the atmosphere, or whatever you call it, are these is the satellite that you're talking through?
This particular satellite, AO13, will vary, of course, in its distance away. Probably average about 35 to 38,000 kilometers out in space.
Well, that's great. Now we're going to take a little trip down to the Venango Christian High School in Oil City, Pennsylvania, to where we'll have the demonstration between the two stations, one here in Oil City and the other up in Dearborn, Michigan. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you, Tom.
School that's located